Good morning, champions. We are 3 days away from the last day of kindergarten, and you guys have been doing awesome work this week. I'm really proud of all of you. Today I'm going to read you a story called Duck on a Tractor. This is one of Mrs. Bennett's favorite stories. The title is Duck on a Tractor, and the author is David Shannon. David Shannon is the person who wrote all the words in the story. I can't wait to share it with you guys. Duck on a Tractor. Down on the farm, Duck sometimes got wild ideas. One day he decided he could ride a bike, so he did. Then he spotted the tractor. "I bet I can drive a tractor," he said. The other animals weren't so sure, but they all said, "Well, if he can ride a bike, maybe he can drive a tractor too." Can any of you guys ride bikes? If you can, do you think that you could drive a tractor? I don't know. Duck climbed on the tractor and looked around. He pushed some pedals and wiggled a metal stick, but nothing happened. Then a shiny little piece of metal by the steering wheel caught his eye. He pulled it out. He pushed it in. Then he turned it, and all of a sudden, the tractor shook and coughed and rumbled. It began to move. At first, it moved very slowly, and it jerked a lot, but it was fun. Duck drove around the barnyard until he got the hang of it. Then he stopped in front of the other animals. "Climb on, everyone," shouted Duck. He's doing it. He figured out how to start it, and he's driving it around. Dog was first. He jumped right up next to Duck. "Woof," said Dog, but what he thought was, "We're going for a ride." To everyone's surprise, Cow clambered on next. "Moo," said Cow, but what she thought was, "This is the silliest thing I've ever done." Pig and Pig took a seat in back. "Wink," said Pig and Pig, but what they thought was, "This sure beats walking." Okay, so Duck has all of his farmyard friends on here now. Then came Chicken, Mouse, and Goat. "Squawk," said Chicken, but what she thought was, "Last one on's the rotten egg." "Squeak," said Mouse, but what she thought was, "I can see everything from up here." "Ma," said Goat, but what he thought was, "I'm hungry. Does the garbage dump have a drive-through window?" He reminds me of Gregory the Terrible Eater. Do you guys remember Gregory the Terrible Eater? He was a goat that only wanted healthy foods. Next up were Horse and Cat. Cat jumped up gracefully onto the tractor. Horse, not so much. "Meow," said Cat, but what she thought was, "I was going to take a nap, but this should be very interesting." "Nay," said Horse, but what he thought was, "I think I'd rather walk." So Horse got up, but now he's thinking, "Oh, I think I should have just walked." The only one left on the ground was Sheep. "Bah!" said Sheep, but what she thought was, "This is too dangerous." "Get on, Sheep," everyone shouted, but Sheep wouldn't budge. So Duck started driving away without her. "Wait!" cried Sheep. "Don't leave me here all alone." She ran after the tractor and took a flying leap onto it. "Quack!" yelled Duck, but what he thought was, "Wahoo!" I think Duck is loving driving this tractor. Duck steered the tractor down the lane and out onto the main road, and before long, they were driving right through the middle of town. It was lunchtime, so most people were in the diner. They all looked up when Duck and the other animals passed by in the big window. Could you imagine if you were sitting at a diner having lunch and you looked out the window and you saw a duck driving a tractor with all these farmyard animals on it? Oh my goodness, that'd be crazy. A little boy named Edison was having lunch with his grandma. Did you ever, Grandma gasped, but what she thought was a duck on a tractor? That's impossible. That's totally awesome, Edison shouted, but what he thought was, no one's going to believe this. Marcine, the waitress, looked up from her pad and noticed the cat. Heavens to Betsy, she exclaimed, but what she thought was, I like cats. Deputy Bob blabbered, if that don't beat all. But what he thought was, how am I going to explain this to the sheriff? A man named Otis chimed in, I must be seeing things. But what he thought was, oh no, not again. Holy cow, hollered Manny the cook. But what he thought was, holy cow. Manny usually just said exactly what he thought anyway. The mayor almost choked on his pie. Good gravy, he sputtered, but what he thought was, those pigs are even fatter than I am. He is kind of fat. Corky just whistled, but what he thought was, that duck is smarter than he looks. Gwen came out of the restroom. Would you look at that, she exclaimed. What she thought was, I can't see anything without my glasses. Farmer Odell observed, that's a dang nice tractor. But what he thought was, hey, that's my tractor. He decided he'd better go after it and ran out the door. Everyone else ran too and chased after him. By this time, Duck had turned onto the next street. The tractor shuddered to a stop. Duck tried turning the shiny little piece of metal again. Nothing happened. I don't know much about spelling, said Dog, but I think that E means it's the end of our ride. She cleared her throat. You know, she said, I think we might get into trouble for this. Let's get out of here, yelled Duck, just as Farmer Odell and everyone from the diner came around the corner. Little Edison, he still can't believe it. Everyone burst out laughing. Nah, they all said. It couldn't have been. It was an optical illusion, claimed Otis. Farmer Odell said he must have left his tractor running by accident. I guess that explains it, Deputy Bob agreed. Then they all went back to the diner and finished their lunch. And no one ever admitted that on that day they had seen a cow, a goat, a cat, a dog, a sheep, a cow, a horse, 2 pigs, a mouse, and a duck on a tractor. The end. Here's my question. This duck, he could ride his bike, so he thought, I could just ride this tractor. And the first thing he did when he got his tractor working, he went and picked up everybody, and they went riding through town. My question for you is, if you had a tractor, what would you do with it? Where would you go? Who would you be with? Write me a sentence and draw me an awesome picture about it too. I want to see who's all on your tractor and what your tractor looks like. Don't forget your big 3. An uppercase letter at the beginning, personal space between every single word, and a period at the end of your sentence. I love you and I miss you so much.